This is Arvin Vora, founder of Vora Method and author of How to Get into an Ivy League College. In this video, we're going to talk about conning. To a large extent, what you're doing here with college admissions, with this whole strategy, with all this stuff, is kind of like pulling a con scam on somebody, a confidence scam on the admissions office. And let's start by putting into giving a monetary value to what you're trying to get. A Harvard admissions letter, the market value of getting into Harvard, I would say is about $1 million. The market value of getting into another Ivy League college is maybe $200,000-300,000. If you're trying to get into a competitive college that's not Ivy League level, maybe the market value is around $100,000. A combined medical program, the market value is probably $600,000-700,000. So we're dealing with things of high value. For most of you guys, I know you guys don't really work or have jobs, so that doesn't really mean anything to you. So $1 million is enough to buy a nice house. I mean, $300,000 is enough to buy a supercar. I mean, just put it in some kind of perspective. These are highly valuable things that most people can't get. And so I want to talk about the level of sophistication it takes to trick somebody. Over here, I've put an image of one of the more famous cons out there, the Nigerian Prince con. And here's how it works. Somebody contacts you by email claiming to be a Nigerian prince who needs to get $40 million out of some Nigerian bank. And in order to get it out, he first needs a little bit of money from you, maybe $5,000, $10,000 to get it out. And if you ever give the money to him, you, of course, never see the money again. And this con works on nobody. No one falls for this con. This only works on people who are actually like mentally impaired, right? So people who have very severe dementia, Alzheimer's disease. I mean, it only ever works on people who are really have very major neural degeneration. I mean, like a really big cognitive degenerative type disease. It doesn't work on anybody normal or anybody who's in a normal state. It's the way it works. You send the same nonsense to everybody. It's simplistic. It tries to appeal quickly to a very simple desire, and it just doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. I want to talk about an example of a type of con. It's actually become more common in recent years as online dating and things like that have become more common. And this is a financial con. It's a con that generally targets women who are in their 30s and 40s. And here's basically how it goes. And this is a time the reason that women in their 30s and 40s are targeted is because A, they're going to have more money. I mean, a woman who's 35 is going to have more money than a woman who's like 22, obviously. And also women who are in their 30s and 40s really feel much more pressure. If they want to have kids, they have to do it, more quickly and all that. So there's a little bit more pressure at that time. So there's more money, more pressure. So that's generally who's targeted. And here's how it works. The woman meets somebody online, and it's exactly who she's been looking for, right? It's somebody who wants to settle down, who's ready for a committed, serious, monogamous relationship, who wants to have kids, who has money, has some kind of like international business, right? Usually early in this con, the confidence man, the con artist, finds some way to indirectly let the mark see that he has a lot of money, like somehow that she'll see a bank statement that shows that he has like $10 million in the bank. Now, the two people never meet. They just talk on the phone. And here's what's interesting. The con artist is not just going to talk to the mark on the phone. He's also going to talk to her parents on the phone for a long time, really getting to know them, connecting with them. And this is the person she's been waiting for her whole life. It's everything that she wants. Somebody practical, ready to settle down, monogamous, but good looking, but not like super good looking that it like kind of makes somebody question. Doesn't look like a supermodel or anything, but it is decent looking. So then what happens is, first you establish the trust, and this trust is built over a few months. Then the emergency happens, right? Which is that the person is on an international business trip, on one of his many international business trips, and he's stuck in a situation. He needs, just like $20,000 to get out to fill some stupid form. Then he'll be able to get to his bank account and, of course, pay her back right away. She knows he has the money. She's seen the bank account statements, months ago and stored that information away in her mind. So she says, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll just get the money over to you. and then he just needs just a little bit more. There's one more thing. It's just like, 10 grand. This next one's 30 grand, and this goes on until the mark figures out what's happening, and people can get scammed for 20,000, 40,000, 100,000, just however long it takes to figure it out. So it's an interesting combination of a kind of very low pressure building of trust combined with a high pressure emergency, right? And that's the extent that people go to in this con. And of course, the con artist has done as much background research on that specific mark as possible, right? Learned as much as he can from anything he can find about her on social media, on traditional media, like LinkedIn, whatever. He's going to try to find as much about the parents as he possibly can, because he's really trying to make sure that the person trusts. The person is going to trust herself, and she's going to trust her parents. And if he can convince both of those people, he's going to be able to steal a lot of money going down the road a little bit. And that's the extent that people go to for a con to get, say, $50,000. You guys are trying to do a con that runs at about $1 million. So 20 times as complex, 20 times more difficult. The con artist is going to have basically an unsuspecting mark, right? The mark, the woman who he's going to be targeting is not going to be on guard for financial cons, but more for relationship related romantic type cons. Somebody who's trying to get something physical. They're not really thinking about the financial side of it, because that's not what people worry about with online dating. They worry about their physical safety, their sexual safety, things like that. They're not worried about money, so their guard's down in the money direction, right? But this person is so low pressure, he's not even asking to meet in person. Everybody else is saying hey, you want to meet up and hook up or whatever, but this person is so low pressure, right? So that's the extent that he goes to for $50,000, a $50,000 con. He's doing tons of research on a person. He's learning about her parents, doing whatever he can to create that kind of rapport for that. You guys are doing $1 million con. It is much more advanced. Your target, say Harvard Admissions Committee, is not unsuspecting. Their guard is 1,000% up. They know that everyone who's sending an admission, it'll do pretty damn near anything to try to trick their way in. Their guard is at maximum. And not only do you have to con one person, you have to con a whole bunch of people. So to get them to believe something, you need to take it to an unbelievable level. So I'm going to start off by illustrating what I would do if I was trying to convince. And I don't mean to convince Harvard that I'm this great person. I'm just going to say, let's say I wanted to convince Harvard of something small. Let's say I just want to convince Harvard that I'm really into curtains. Okay? So how am I going to do that? How am I going to show that? First, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get my popcorn or whatever, and I'm going to research the hell out of the subject. After, for me, it'll probably take 3 or 4 hours. Since you guys have a little bit less experience, it'll probably take you 20, 30 hours. At the end of that research period, I'm going to know everything about curtains. I'm going to know the current issues. I'm going to know what people are passionate about. I know what people hate. I want to know the faux pas. I want to know what people value in curtains, some of the debates going on in the world of curtains. And if you're saying, well, how would there be debates going on? Well, if you don't know that, then you're just not anywhere close. There are debates going on in every single subject, and you need to know the debates of that subject if you're going to lie and say you're interested in it. I'm going to know everything about the topic. I'm going to know a ton of information about the topic. If somebody interviewed me to ask me questions about curtains, I would be knowledgeable. I wouldn't be pretend knowledgeable. This is the key. I wouldn't be pretending to know a lot about curtains. I would know a lot about curtains. Then, after I did all that, then I would want to find some clever things to say. I would use reversal drills. I would use same, different type things. I would do analogical reasoning, categorical reasoning to show that not only do I know a lot, but I actually have a lot of insight on the subject. So I'm showing that I've learned so much about this subject that I have insights on it. Now you might say, well, couldn't you skip that research part and go directly to the insights? No, because what will happen is your insights will be the same insights that every novice has already had in that subject. Whatever insights you're having at the beginning, people have already had that insight. So you first have to see all the insights that other people have already had, and then you need to add to that. So that's the kind of research that I'm talking about. Now, some people will say, well, once you do that, can you just copy and paste that and do that for every college? No, not a chance. If you do that, you're going to end up with something like this just terrible Nigerian print scam that has never worked on anybody ever. So we have 30 million US dollars, which, yeah, you might have 30 million US dollars, but apparently not enough literacy to know how to use a lowercase letter. I mean, this is an embarrassing. This is an embarrassment over here. This level of con isn't going to get you anywhere. So, first thing, tons of research. Then once you have that research, you're going to create the insights. I want to talk about well, it depends who you ask. In my opinion, a con that is so profound and so effective that people don't even think it's a con. They just think it's prestigious. Here is the website of the legendary McKinsey & Company. McKinsey & Company is a consulting firm. It's the most respected consulting firm in the world. Many of our method students, by the way, have worked at McKinsey or currently work at McKinsey, and we've helped many of them with the McKinsey interview. Later on, if you guys are interested in that, obviously we can help with that. But here's what McKinsey does. They do consulting on various areas, whatever, it can be anything from power plants, materials, countries. They do all kinds of consulting, all kinds of things. And here's the phases that they go through. In the first phase, they take their analysts who don't know anything about anything, right? They go to the site. So let's say that the site is a power plant, say a nuclear power plant. For the next about 5-6 weeks, their analysts are going to learn every single thing. They're going to know how to talk the talk about nuclear power plants. They're going to know everything about the subject. Then they're going to basically just have a few insights, make some pompous observations, and the minimum fee, by the way, that McKinsey charges is, coincidentally enough, the same value as a Harvard admission. Their minimum fee is $1 million. That's what it looks like to do $1 million scam. $1 million scam is not, it's almost not a scam, right? It's so close to not being a scam that you can't even tell if it's a scam anymore, because at the end of the McKinsey consultants do sometimes know a lot about the thing. Sometimes they have some cool insights. I mean, mostly they have more maybe confidence than actual insights, but maybe they also have some actual insights. That's what $1 million scam looks like. This is what $1 million scam looks like. It looks like you actually become such an expert that it seems like you actually are an expert. So when you're doing these, understand what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who are highly suspicious. These aren't people who want to be tricked. When you're lying to your English teacher saying that you read the book that you didn't, that's somebody who wants to be tricked. Your English teacher wants to believe you, because if he doesn't believe you, it's more work and nuisance for him. He has to call your parents or do whatever. That's just annoying. So he wants to believe you. Harvard doesn't want to believe you. They are not looking to be tricked. And tricking someone who doesn't want to be tricked is 1,000 times harder than tricking someone who does want to be tricked. So what are some things to avoid? Don't use words that you don't know what they mean. So if you're talking about some bit of advanced math or science or history and you don't know what that thing is, don't use it until you know what it is, which means, you're going to have to sit there for 5-6 hours and figure out what that thing is. I don't mean you have to learn how to do the math, but you need to understand what the math is used for, how it works, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing something with science, same thing. You need to actually know it deeply. You need to do a lot of research per essay. What else should you avoid? Don't copy and paste your essays. It's not going to save you time. It's going to waste more time and cost more money and be less effective. Each essay, the research starts afresh. When McKinsey goes from one nuclear power plant to, say, a coal power plant, they don't copy over their research. They do it all fresh. That's why they're so convincing. That's why they're so effective. So don't even think about copying and pasting. Each new essay is going to be an entirely new thing. Every per college essay is going to be a new thing completely. But at the core of it all, understand this: you are trying to con suspicious, intelligent, clever people who have a ton of experience in looking through any kind of BS and con artistry that a normal person would come up with. They're used to looking right through it. They're used to seeing through it very easily. So you're going to have to take this to a very, very high level, to the point where even you might not know if it's a con or not. You might not know whether or not you're super passionate, interested in curtains. By the time you've convinced them, you yourself might even be convinced. That's the level we're talking about. So keep all this stuff in mind. Really try to appreciate what you're doing. If you're doing things like if you're even entertaining the idea of copying and pasting essays, or just doing a few minutes worth of research or something like that, just don't even try it. That's not how this works. You have to do the background research. You have to write something fresh and new for each college, studying each college independently. Yes, I get that it seems to take more time, but doing it right, and in addition to actually getting fast results, it's actually going to take you less time, because you're not going to just be spinning your wheels, sending us one garbage essay after another that we keep being like, nope, nope, nope. You'll actually be making progress and actually getting something good. You're conning people out of $1 million. Take the job seriously. Look at how this is what it looks like to con people out of $1 million. You can't even really say that it is a con. Nobody's even totally sure if McKinsey's a con. McKinsey doesn't even know if they're conning people or actually helping. That's what we're talking about, and that's the level you need to take this to.